and I see a whole expressway passing on top of my building, saying that we are expecting anything, but we have seen these things happen and we can't just take for granted. I would have thought that the designer would have maybe looked at it like it is a bit of a challenge to have a road passing just on an institute like this one, carrying very important or having very important people in parliament, and the road is just next to the parliament, and it's a little bit. I can say, to me, it poses a big challenge. But I hope we will not, or people will not think that that is then it poses a challenge. But in the real sense, it poses a security challenge or threat. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the statement and congratulate Senator Falhada for coming up with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senators. Because of the issues that have been raised around this statement, I want to use my discretion to refer the statement to the Committee on Roads and Transportation so that they deal with all the issues that have been put there, and I encourage the committee to look at what has been documented in the answer and ask Senator Falhada if she has any other additional information she would like to give the committee, she can go ahead. Thank you. So it stands committed to the Committee on Roads and Transportation. Thank you, Senators. The next statement, under 47.1, is by Senator Musuruve. Is she online? She online? Senator Musuruve, are you online? While we are still waiting to see whether she's online, I think we can go to statement under 51.1 by Eric Okongo Mogeni.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm rising to give a statement on consideration by the National Assembly of Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, Bills number 26, National Assembly Bills number 26 of 2022. Madam Speaker, I'm issuing this statement pursuant to Standing Order 51, subsection 1A of the Senate Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, I make a statement relating to a matter for which my Committee of Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights is responsible, namely the consideration by the National Assembly of Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Bills number 26 of 2022. Madam Speaker, Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 26 of 2022, was published on the 10th of May 2022 and introduced in the National Assembly by way of first reading on the 26th of May 2022. Madam Speaker, the bill was committed to various committees to undertake public participation thereon, with that window closing on Monday, the 6th of June 2022. Madam Speaker, I'm reliably informed that the National Assembly intends to fast track in consideration and passage of this bill before it proceeds to adjourn Senadai later this week. Madam Speaker, noting that in the memorandum of the bill, it is stated that the bill does not concern county governments, it is likely that the bill will then be submitted to His Excellency the President for assent without the bill being referred to the Senate for consideration. Unsurprisingly, Madam Speaker, the bill was not subjected to the concurrence process under Articles 110, Sub-Article 3 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Madam Speaker, while the bill is couched as proposing minor amendments which do not merit the publication of separate bills, the Statutory Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill contains far-reaching proposals which, if passed, would greatly undermine the mandate and functions of the Senate and those of county governments. Madam Speaker, for example, the bill seeks to vary the reporting mandate of commissions and independent offices from inter alia Parliament, in some instances the Senate, and make the reporting obligation to be to the National Assembly only. Madam Speaker, these amendments include amendments to the reporting obligations of IEBC. Madam Speaker, I have a copy of the Statutory Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, the Judicial Service Commission, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the National Gender and Equality Commission, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Commission on Revenue Allocation, CRA, the National Land Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the National Police Service Commission, the Control of Budget, the Teacher Service Commission, and the Public Service Commission. Madam Speaker, if I can maybe as an example go to one of the proposals, Madam Speaker, which is at page 796 of this bill, Madam Speaker. It is proposed that the word Senate be deleted so that the only obligation for these commissions will be to report to the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, that sounds very mischievous, Madam Speaker. The law as it stands now, Madam Speaker, if you go to the Judicial Service Commission Act, Act number 11, that was passed in 2011, Section 38 states that the Commission and the Judiciary shall cause the annual report to be published in the Gazette and shall send a copy of the report in each of the clerks of the two houses of Parliament for it to be placed before the respective houses for debate and adoption. Madam Speaker, the Miscellaneous Law Amendment Bill proposes to amend that particular section to delete the obligation of that annual report being filed with the clerks of the Senate and or to be considered by the Senate, Madam Speaker. Another one, Madam Speaker, is the National Gender and Equality Commission, Madam Speaker. The current Section 53, Madam Speaker, states that the President, National Assembly, and the Senate may at any time require the Commission to submit a report on a particular issue. The Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, Madam Speaker, proposes to delete the word Senate from consideration, and many others, Mr. Speaker. In essence, Mr. Speaker, if this is done, Mr. Speaker, it will be unconstitutional because, Madam Speaker, Article 249, Sub-Article 3 provides, and I read, Madam Speaker, that Parliament shall allocate adequate funds to enable each commission and independent office to perform its functions, and the budget of each commission and independent office shall be a separate vote. So, Madam Speaker, that particular article obligates the Senate to receive a report and ascertain whether independent commissions received budget that could effectively enable them to discharge the functions of their offices. Madam Speaker, Article 254 of our Constitution provides that as soon as possible after the end of each financial year, each commission and each holder of an independent office shall submit a report to the President and Parliament. Sub-Article 2 states that at any time the President, the National Assembly, or the Senate may require a commission or a holder of any independent office to submit a report on a particular issue. Madam Speaker, on the face of it, the Miscellaneous Law Amendment Bill offends the Constitution and has provisions that are clearly in contravention of Article 249(3) and Article 254 of our Constitution. Madam Speaker, the proposed amendments on these reporting obligations of the Commission and independent offices therefore raise issues of them being manifestly unconstitutional. More so, Madam Speaker, what is of concern is that the National Assembly seeks to sneak this miscellaneous amendment bill at the tail end of the current term of Parliament, whereas on the face of it, it can be discerned that the provisions have far-reaching consequences. Madam Speaker, members will recall that in the previous term of Parliament, the National Assembly passed amendments to the Treaty Making and Ratification Act to vary the ratifications of treaties from being brought to Parliament to being taken only to the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, attempts by the Senate to reverse these amendments have not succeeded, as while the Senate has passed the said amendments on 2 occasions, the National Assembly has declined to consider and pass the same. Madam Speaker, the bill currently before the National Assembly seeks to continue this practice of gradually chipping away through legislative and other means the mandate and functions conferred on the Senate under the bicameral Parliament as provided for in the Constitution. Madam Speaker, it's a matter that both the Executive and the National Assembly it is a fact, Madam Speaker, that both in the Executive and the National Assembly, there are elements who still believe that the Senate is an unnecessary aberration, and they will stop at nothing in their quest to undermine and diminish the place and mandate of the Senate. Madam Speaker, I want to make an appeal to all senators that this is a matter that we must resist. Madam Speaker, I therefore issue this statement to bring this very important matter to the attention of the Honorable House and to the senators. We must speak with one voice, Madam Speaker, to reject the attempt by the National Assembly to consider and pass these amendments at this time and without reference to the Senate. Madam Speaker, I call upon our majority leader and the minority leader to immediately get in touch with their counterparts in the National Assembly to ensure that this bill is not proceeded with. Madam Speaker, the amendments contained in the said bill are not urgent and can be considered substantively by the 2 houses once Parliament is convened. Madam Speaker, you will notice that in one of the proposed amendments at page 821 is a proposal to amend the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act to bar MCAs, members of Parliament, and the senators who are under investigations, not who have been convicted, who are under investigations not to access Parliament and even to exercise powers of their offices. Madam Speaker, those are far, far-reaching amendments which should not be effected through a miscellaneous amendment bill. Madam Speaker, at page 826 of the miscellaneous law amendment bill, the leader of majority National Assembly states that this is a bill that does not concern county governments. But Madam Speaker, if you recall, this House has had benefit of debating by way of reference to this House from the National Assembly the Roads Amendment Bill, Madam Speaker. If you peruse, Madam Speaker, this miscellaneous law amendment bill, among the laws that are proposed to be amended is the Roads Act. So, Madam Speaker, this bill is mischievous. It's an attempt by the National Assembly to pass a bill at the tail end of their tenure, which is manifestly on the face of it unconstitutional. So, Madam Speaker, I've reason to bring this matter to the attention of the House and also to seek your directions. Maybe if you allow me, Madam Speaker, I also want to update this House that if the House recalls, we had filed High Court civil suit number E84, where we had gotten some orders from the High Court compelling the two speakers to seek concurrence in line with Article 110 of the Constitution before any bill is processed. Madam Speaker, that particular order of the High Court was set aside by the Court of Appeal, and we subsequently proceeded and filed an application in the Supreme Court seeking stay. On the 19th of May 2022, Madam Speaker, we got orders from the Supreme Court that stayed the orders of the Court of Appeal. So in essence, the status quo was that the two speakers must have concurrence before any bill is processed. But in a sequence of events, which I'm not able to discern and understand, as a lawyer who has practiced for over 25 years, Madam Speaker, an application for review of our order of stay that was issued to us on 19th of May 2022, an application to set aside those orders was filed by the National Assembly on the 25th of May 2022. Madam Speaker, in supersonic speed, the Supreme Court ordered parties to file responses and submissions, and Madam Speaker, our advocates appeared before the Supreme Court on 3rd in the morning, and by 3rd of June in the afternoon, our orders were vacated. Meaning, therefore, Madam Speaker, that we have gone back to the situation that was prevailing before we had moved to the High Court, where the Speaker of the National Assembly can unilaterally make a determination as to which bill concerns counties. Madam Speaker, this is a situation that puts really the constitutional mandate of this House at risk. If this trend continues, Madam Speaker, the mandate of this House will be watered down to the level that we may be rendered irrelevant. It's a matter that must really catch the attention of all of us, and we must speak with one voice on how to address this matter. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. I see some intervention from Senator Kajwang.
Madam Speaker, if you allow me, this matter is so important that, even though we are going to closure of the House, we are going into elections, but this is so important because those who are aspiring to come to this Senate are going to find themselves in a shell of a house. They won't find the house that is envisaged in the Constitution because, Madam Speaker, Article 93, 94 talks about Parliament, its establishment, and its role. And it goes ahead to talk about Parliament being the guarantor of the will of the people, and Parliament being the Senate and the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, the mischief, and it's unfortunate that I'm using this word almost twice today, even though it's also to follow what Senator Mogeni has cited. These omnibus amendments are mischievous. When you look at the timing, when you look at the content, you can clearly conclude that some people somewhere have come up with a scheme to whittle down the powers of the Senate, to amend the Constitution through the back door, to kill bicameralism, and to abrogate duties to the National Assembly, duties that were the preserve of Parliament collectively. Madam Speaker, we cannot sound helpless. And previously, this Senate has taken a firm decision, despite opposition from the executive, despite some of those decisions and actions being politically incorrect. But it is that political incorrectness that has enabled the Senate to be what it is today. Madam Speaker, the Senate I joined in the year 2015 is definitely not the Senate that I am living briefly in the year 2022. And the Senate that we are going to come to in post 9th of August 2022, Madam Speaker, if it is going to be the sole discretion of the Speaker of the National Assembly to determine at what point to comply with Article 110, then really there will be no need to waste taxpayers' money on a Senate, and there will be no need for us to walk around calling ourselves the upper house. We cannot appear to be helpless. And Madam Speaker, because these are issues that are live, even as we focus on our campaigns and the political season, it would be important that we provide direction to our legal department to take the necessary action to ensure that the duties of the Senate are not reduced through these omnibus amendments. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Senator Okongo Mogeni for his vigilance, that even though everyone now is talking of campaigns, but he's been vigilant enough to scrutinize these omnibus amendments and to see through the mischief. I want to thank the lawyers in this House who have sacrificed their professional time and service. When the same Parliamentary Service Commission, and Madam Speaker, that is why I was a bit unhappy earlier when Senator for Vihiga tabled 3 financial year reports before this House of the Parliamentary Service Commission. And we know, Madam Speaker, it is a Parliamentary Service Commission that has disabled the Senate from engaging legal aid and legal assistance, getting legal services. Madam Speaker, the same PSC allows the National Assembly to get premium legal representation. And then the National Assembly is starved of resources and approvals. And so we have to use our in-house staff. And if it were not for the advocates in this House who have volunteered, and most of them pro bono, we probably would have lost all the matters that we have taken to court. Madam Speaker, even when we go sine die, and even when everyone goes home to campaign, the Senate is not just the members of the Senate. We have a very, very able secretariat and a very able legal team. We must put up a fight, because if we are helpless, then I don't know what we'll be telling our people when we are campaigning. What are we going to do for them when all our powers of oversight are being taken away? When the definition of Parliament is being changed through the back door using some of these omnibus bills, when even the tenure of a member of Parliament is being affected. Madam Speaker, it's extremely, the presumption of innocence until guilt is proven. If an amendment talks of a senator, member of National Assembly, or member of County Assembly not being able to represent the people because is under investigation, and we have seen how some of these bodies have been used. Even though the issue of weaponization of some of these agencies has come from a certain political corner, Madam Speaker, it is not far-fetched that that weaponization can affect all players in the political field. So we cannot allow some of those things to go through. Madam Speaker, I want to encourage Senator Okongo Mogeni that in the diagnosis of the problem, that he would once again rise up and using his very, very deep legal experience, legal knowledge, and his deep intellect to help our legal team in the Senate to ensure that we put up a strong fight, not just on these omnibus, but also on the issues before the Superior Court on compliance with Article 110. Finally, Madam Speaker, I'm glad that today a state officer who has been impeached is barred from running again for public office. But Madam Speaker, if we stretched that a little bit further, this Senate has declared various state officers to be unfit to hold public office. Unfortunately, those recommendations of this House have never been taken seriously. What should be the impact and the finality of a declaration by Parliament that a state officer is unfit to hold public office? It should count for something. It should bar them from further appointments. It should bar them from getting engaged in further services to the nation. And Madam Speaker, if that was then the effect of being declared unfit to hold public office, then some of the people behind the violation of the Constitution, the violation of Article 110, we should declare them unfit to hold public office, and they should not be allowed to sit anywhere, be it the Parliamentary Service Commission or as speakers, because, Madam Speaker, the problem we have is not just a problem of the law, but it is a problem of people thinking that they are smart. Problem of people thinking that the Senate is inferior. Problem of people thinking that the Senate does not have intellectual leadership that is able to discern some of these things. Madam Speaker, I hope that the next Parliament we are going to cure these unhealthy and unhelpful competition between the Senate and the National Assembly. We can coexist. The Constitution has given us joint functions and has given us some functions that are unique. We can coexist. And if we don't want to coexist, let us not use the back door of omnibus amendments. Let us face the people directly through a referendum. Let us put the question to the people: do we need a Senate or not? Do we need a bicameral system or not? Let the matter be settled by the people, rather than some people who just want to hide behind legislative drafting to amend the Constitution suspiciously. Senator and the Chair for Legal, we are fully and solidly behind you. If we need to march as we have marched in the past, we shall be there. If we have to take politically incorrect decisions to defend the Constitution and the Senate, we shall join you. But the institution of the Senate, as created in the Constitution, Madam Speaker, as a senator for Homa Bay, and as one having been elected by the people of Homa Bay to represent them in the Senate, I will not preside over the mutilation and dismemberment of the Senate over my dead body. Thank you. Thank you, Senator for Nyamira.
Thank you, Honorable Senator. Honorable Mogeni, I want to thank you for bringing this very important matter to the House. I can see from your recommendations that we are also having very little opportunities, but yes, there is still an opportunity because we cannot run away from taking this responsibility. I would therefore like to support the statement by giving the following order: that this statement be communicated to the majority leader and the minority leader by end of today. And then tomorrow, let's cause a consultation between the majority leader, the minority leader, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal and Affairs and Human Rights, and the Speaker, so that we agree on a way forward. Because as much as we have a very short time, if we leave it out, it's going to cause a lot of implications that we might all regret later. So communicate the same to majority leader, minority leader, the statement as is. Then we'll cause a meeting. I will cause a meeting to take place between the Speaker and the three members so that we have a better way forward. Thank you very much for that statement. Thank you. Honorable Senators, next order.
Order number 8, the Health Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 2 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to make amendments to health-related laws.
Honorable Senators, we have been monitoring the members online, and I think we are all aware that some members are still going before IEBC today to present their papers, and so we are not able to prosecute orders number 9 to order number 35. I therefore order that the same be placed on the order paper tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 June 2022. Honorable members, honorable senators, there being no other business on the order paper, therefore, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 June 2022 at 2:30 p.m.
We are actually borrowing from the future. When we steal borrowed money, we are actually stealing from the future. Mr. Speaker, the monies that we have been borrowing, that we cannot account for, getting into contracts that we cannot make public, contracts that this house has been asking for to be presented into this house, so that this house is able to interrogate them, even as we are going into the budget cycle. If we knew what we owe and what the terms are with the SGR contract, if we knew what we borrowed for the expressway and what the terms of that contract are, this house would be better informed to be making these decisions, because this is the budget-making house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the cycle of debt is such that debt with given at a time of boom can actually push an economy, Mr. Speaker. But what normally happens is that a country can get excited with borrowing, especially if they are able to borrow easily. Now what happens is that this boom ends up being a heavy yoke on the neck of that country, and that is where we are headed, Mr. Speaker, because we were borrowing prudently in the Kibaki government. We had a semblance of sensible borrowing in the first term of Jubilee government, but by the time we were getting to the second term of the Jubilee government, our borrowing had actually gone haywire, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, these monies that we are borrowing in such a manner is actually a debt that we are putting on the future of this country, Mr. Speaker, because a boom, the cycles have proved, economic cycles have proved that any economic boom driven by debt is normally followed by a very major slump, Mr. Speaker. And the slump here is going to be informed by many issues, some of which are beyond this country's ability. We have an economic downturn globally, Mr. Speaker. We have the effects of COVID, Mr. Speaker. Now, if this slump finds us in a big debt problem, actually we'll end up shutting down this country and in fact mortgaging it to our lenders, who will now be demanding for money that we do not have, because our budget cannot even finance the repayments of the loans that we have borrowed so far, Mr. Speaker. So if our budget cannot finance what we have borrowed, Mr. Speaker, we are now borrowing to pay the people who we had borrowed from earlier. So borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, which now ends up giving us a problem even when we come to our development budget, Mr. Speaker, because if we are repaying debts to the tune of over 1 trillion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker, then where do we find money to now go into development? But Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that finally, when we were talking about the medium-term debt strategy, this issue did come up. So, Mr. Speaker, today we cannot afford to push the can further down the road. Let us say no to the increase of the debt ceiling, Mr. Speaker. Let us stop digging the hole. Let us start climbing up from the hole that we have, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can only consume that which we have in terms of our resources, and we stop consuming that which we have not made, thinking that it is free money being given to us, while we know it is not a grant, it is actually a loan that we have to pay. And if Kenya did not borrow even an extra shilling today, we would pay the debts we have up to the year 2099, meaning that generations after us will have to pay dearly for the mistakes that we might end up making today. Mr. Speaker, I oppose vehemently to the rising of the debt ceiling in this country. Mr. Speaker,
sorry, be looking at the light here. The yellow one tells you you have 60 seconds. The red one tells you have 30 seconds. So you organize your contribution that way. Now, the member for Shinyalu did rise in his place and claimed that the mover be called upon to reply. Let me put that to UP members to make that decision. So I put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important motion, and I'm very happy that members have been able to ventilate and put on record some of the sentiments which no doubt the administrations to come will follow. Honorable Speaker, I think for the record, it's important to internalize one thing, that because I think there's an issue that has been raised, and I would want to just have that, and I'll have replied. Transparency on debt. This year, we have a budget deficit of 846 billion, which is part of budget support. If you move back 10 years, times 10 is about 8 trillion that has gone towards budget support. But that is for the Public Accounts Committee to interrogate for us. But I want to assure you that what we are doing is a stopgap measure, like I said. It's important for purposes of moving forward, and I believe this House will facilitate the next administration coming in on the 9th of August 2022, whoever that will be, to be able to take over an economy, and then they sort out the rest themselves. I beg to reply.
Honourable members, from the clerks department, the House still has the requisite quorum. I therefore put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Section 50, subsection 2 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, this House approves the Public Finance Management (National Government) Amendment Regulations of 2022, published as legal notice number 89 on 26th of May 2022, thus approving the amendment made to the Public Finance Management National Government Regulations of 2015, being the principal regulations, in Regulation 26, Subregulation 1, by deleting paragraph C and substituting therefore the following new paragraph C, in brackets. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 50, subsection 2 of the Act, the public debt shall not exceed 10 trillion shillings, close the quotes. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Go to the. Now we go back to order number. 14. Order number 14.
Order number 14, the Appropriation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2022, second reading.
Chairman of Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And again, Honorable Speaker, I want to really thank you for your wisdom in, first of all, dispensing off with the issue of the debt ceiling, so that all the issues now we will be discussing in the budget that we'll be discussing, of course, Honorable Speaker, it will be within the set debt ceiling. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Appropriations Bill number National Assembly number 31 of 2022 be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this is an issue that we have actually dealt with, Honorable Speaker, when I brought the motion on the budget, Honorable Speaker, and we discussed at length the figures and all the issues that were captured, Honorable Speaker, in the budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023 that was submitted to this House on the 7th April in adherence to the requirements of Article 221 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, the revenue and expenditure proposals are coming during a transition period, Honorable Speaker, where a big shift is expected in policy, goals, and programs of the government. Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that the policies mentioned or outlined in this budget are still anchored on the medium-term 3, which is coming to an end in June this year. Further, Honorable Speaker, the government is still prioritizing on the big 4, and of course highlighting especially the universal health care, which we are hoping that the subsequent governments will be able to build on. Honorable Speaker, my critical review of the budget reviews that the country is still struggling economically. We are still facing the shocks from the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Honorable Speaker, the growth worldwide in economy is also not promising, Honorable Speaker. While the domestic economy performance was better that last year at a rate of 7.5%, but we are still faced with uncertainties. Honorable Speaker, we continue to receive unfavorable weather conditions, and most parts of the country are affected by low crop production. I also wish to draw the attention of this House to some of the issues that may have adverse effects to our economy. Honorable Speaker, the fiscal fronts shows that there is a good performance in the current financial year, Honorable Speaker. Most of the revenues have performed above the targets, Honorable Speaker. The third quarter of the financial year 2021-2022. I also want to associate this with the primary intervention by the government, which the government undertook to ease up the COVID-19 related restrictions, which eventually led to the recovery of economic sectors. The total projected revenue, Honorable Speaker, is Kenya shilling 2,480 billion, which is 17% of GDP, which is properly in an appealing projection, given that there are no specific proposals aimed at enhancing revenue collection. The medium-term revenue targets are unlikely to be achieved, considering, Honorable Speaker, that this is an election year. Honorable Speaker, the finance bill tabled in this House, proposing amendments to the various statutory taxes to raise an extra 50 billion, of course, was not realistic, and some of them were rejected by this House. Most of the proposals were touching on basic consumer goods, which directly affects the common mwananchi. And that is the reason Parliament, in its wisdom, some of those recommendations were actually rejected, Honorable Speaker. As a country, we need to come up with a reliable and effective mechanism of raising revenue. Further, there is a worrying trend in the projected ministerial appropriations in aid. Statistics show that there is a significant drop over years of a targeted appropriation in aid compared to the actuals. Most of these missed targets as a result of fees charged by public universities. Our public universities are not able to collect revenue as projected. This is due to shortage in enrollment, out of competition with the private universities. As a House, we need to rethink the policy on university placement. These are some of the reasons that we have to revise the budget in the meantime as supplementary appropriations. Honorable Speaker, the debt issue, which we have just processed, of course, is a threat to this country, and is something that we need to have a discourse on as a country. The fiscal deficit is increasing our borrowing appetite, of course, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker. This proposed expenditure of Kenya shilling 3.3 trillion have 26% of it going to consolidated fund services, which mostly consist of interest payment. Given that the rising cost of dollar, the interest payment will continue to strain our economy. Honorable Speaker, let me just say something on the critical budget expenditure in this budget. The education sector, Honorable Speaker, is continuing to draw the largest proportion of the budget, which is taking 25 or 26%. This is commendable since it is one of the most sectors that will stimulate the growth of our economy by way of fighting ignorance and poverty. The additional allocation to the education sector is also enhancing the CBC preparedness, recruitment of additional teachers, construction of additional classrooms, and related infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, in this budget we have also provided funds for IBC, Honorable Speaker. We know we have an election on the 9th of August, but we need budgetary support. They have been complaining in the past, and I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, that we have been able to sufficiently fund IBC so that they are ready for the next general election. Honorable Speaker, may I also draw the attention of this House to an amendment to the Committee of the Whole House, which are related to catering for petroleum price stabilization, that will cushion our citizens from the effects of the rising fuel. And in this regard, Honorable Speaker, there is an additional 15.36 billion shillings that has been proposed. This will enhance through the petroleum development levy. But, Honorable Speaker, I also want to hasten and say that these interventions are short-term. We cannot continue subsidizing the fuel prices. There has to be an exit strategy on how we are going to deal with this issue of petroleum. Honorable Speaker, with that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request Honorable Wangwe, the majority whip, to second. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Wangwe. No, is a majority whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the appropriation bill 2022-23 as well discussed by the chair. And Honorable Speaker, what I just wish to highlight in the appropriation bill that we have before us, Honorable Speaker, is this a bill that is concluding the budget cycle for the 2022-23, and with which, Honorable Speaker, would wish to see that the budget cycle is complete on time, as we are scheduled to go for our Sinadia recess from Thursday, God willing, unless the House decides otherwise. Honorable Speaker, what comes out of the budget of 2022-23 is that most of the sectors have been addressed in this budget. Especially, Honorable Speaker, what I'm proud of is the issue of allocation of the 25.2% that has gone to the education sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you want Kenya to move forward, you must give knowledge to your citizen. And Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the current government, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, that he has thought it wise. The Honorable Speaker, he pushes the 25.2% of the budget that we have, which has to go to infrastructure in schools, employment of teachers, Honorable Speaker, as well as, Honorable Speaker, looking at the welfare of the Kenyan child through the capitation system that he has laid, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to appreciate the issue that he has tried to allocate resources in agriculture. Although not sufficient, Honorable Speaker, agriculture grows as a result of subsidies, Honorable Speaker. And I want to appreciate that the consideration of a small amount that is in the budget, which has gone into the fertilizer subsidy, Honorable Speaker, is a good figure that I would want to appreciate. And in overall, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury for, Honorable Speaker, living within the confines, Honorable Speaker, of the BPS in the earlier statement that he gave to this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank all my colleagues also for taking their time, especially the Budget Committee, which has taken time, Honorable Speaker, over the weekend, while most of us were at home, or rather in our various constituencies, looking after, Honorable Speaker, the issues to do with our campaigns, which is ongoing. But they took their time to be in Nairobi and to consider this report so that we are able, Honorable Speaker, to discuss it now and vote on it, which I beg that my colleagues appreciate, and vote on it positively so that we can complete this cycle and allow the next government, which is going to come, to take its position. Notwithstanding, Honorable Speaker, the very many issues to do with health care, all parties which are promising the issue of health care, the figures are being captured, Honorable Speaker, to support the health sector in this budget of 2022-23, Honorable Speaker. I just want to thank you, and I beg to second.
I propose a question, which is that the Appropriations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 31 of 2022, be now read a second time. Honorable Kajwang? Honorable Kajwang, I'm just going by the request.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I intended to speak on the variation of the public debt, but now that you have asked me to put my voice, I think I should, this will be my signature signing off my term and waiting, if God willing, that I may join this House again. But I was just listening as Honorable Kiare was speaking with a lot of emotions. I guessed his bottom was itching because he propagates the principle of bottoms up. So yes, but not bottoms up, but bottom up. I see. But you see, Mr. Speaker, this motion, I want to support it because it is the means by which this government will function. It is the appropriation bill which is the instrument to be able to access public funds, and it has come too late. Of course, a lot of things came too late this year. For example, the ministry took too long to bring for us to file the statements with us, and the whole cycle took too long to begin. And so, in normal circumstances, we would have dispensed of this bill. But now that it is coming at the point it comes, I want to support it. I am yet to look at the the votes. And so when it comes to the committee of the House, I will want to see some of the things that Ruaraka people had promised, and I want to see if they have been allotted in their exact positions the way they are. Otherwise, Honorable Atandi said something which I thought he said it in jest, but it's a very important thing, that Kenya is not equal. There are other people who are feeling public debt. They are testing public debt more than others. So according to Honorable Atandi, he also wants his people to test this thing called public debt and see if it is better or not better. I think I also want to savor this appropriation bill. Every time they elect a member to come here, speak on the floor of this House, but they have never tasted something coming from the appropriation bill. So the time will come when we will go to the committee of the whole house, and I think I will look at it to see what Ruarakas have for it. Otherwise, I support it.
Member for Bomachoge Borabu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to take this opportunity to support the appropriation bill on two grounds, Honorable Speaker. Looking at some of the items that have benefited in this appropriation, Honorable Speaker, I want to zero down on university, State Department of University. This is one sector in education that has really suffered for the period I've been in this House. The Speaker, I want to say that our universities are on their knees at the moment. And I will wish to assume that the appropriation bill, to some extent, will address some of the issues that are facing these universities. And our desire as a committee, I'm a member of the Education Committee, has been that the allocations per unit should likely be raised so that the university collection, in terms of what flows from treasury, can increase, and that then the universities will be able to address some of the major challenges they're having to do with the statutory deductions, even to do with infrastructure in our institutions. The Speaker also want to assume that I want to support this bill on the grounds that I have a number of issues in my constitutions as an individual, and maybe so many other constitutions that for the first time are getting good support from the government for infrastructural development, that these projects need to be refinanced, and that the appropriation bill, when we got the details, has addressed some of these issues. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill.
Well, I don't see any other member desirous of contributing to debate on this appropriations bill 2022 to 2023. Therefore, in the circumstances, no option but to call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the members who have actually contributed, Honorable Speaker, to this very, very important motion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we call upon the next administration to make sure that they have prudence in terms of how they utilize public resources, Honorable Speaker, and also beseech Parliament to also be on the lookout, to be the people's watchman and make sure that the funds that they appropriate are properly utilized through the various agencies. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Well, the next would have been to put the question on it, but looks like there is a challenge. Maybe, but just maybe, we'll skip that bit. Let me reorganize the business further so that instead of going to order number 15, we go to the business appearing as order number 17, if the chairman of Budget and the Appropriations Committee is ready. Yeah? Yes. Call it out.
Order number 17, motion, consideration of the second supplementary estimates for the financial year 2021-2022.
Chairman of Budget.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the Supplementary Estimate 2 for the financial year 2021-2022, laid on the table of the House Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243, 1. Approves an increment to the total expenditure for the financial year 2021-2022 by Kenya shilling 70,847,524,595, being current estimates of Kenya shillings 65 billion 12,661,186 and capital estimates of Kenya shilling 5 billion